So there are reports floating around on an internet, and there will be videos done on it by F1 YouTubers, I'm sure, about Daniel Ricciardo and how he's not performing to the level that McLaren might be expecting him to perform and might actually be moving on, given how a few years ago that we were all touting him as being a future world champion. But there is another driver that some would say is underperforming as well, but is also protected by a bulletproof shield because of who he is. And that driver is Mick Schumacher. So why this so-called bulletproof shield? Well, there is his name for a start. His name is Mick Schumacher. They even put MSC on the timing tower because of that tie he has to another Mick Schumacher, that being his dad, 7-time world champion Michael Schumacher. Now this has actually been a very tricky one to write, because I don't want this to come across as X minutes of slagging Mick Schumacher off, because that's not fair. What I'm trying to do in this video is see if it's a manner of things going on. Is Mick underperforming because of, okay, I'm just going to come out and say it, talent? Is he underperforming because we underrated Magnussen this whole time? Or is Mick just simply overdriving under pressure because of everything he brings? Basically, is the criticism directed at him online warranted? But anyway, let's look at everything. Well, the stuff I can think of at least. And the first thing that anyone will say when criticism of Mick is levied is, but he won Formula 2 and Formula 3. But on both occasions he was absolutely nowhere for the first season, and then in the second season he started doing well, with that sudden podium streak during the second half of his 2018 Formula 3 title run. And Dan Ticktum, a driver who has got a long track record of being a little bit of an arsehole, somehow kicked off this rumour that Mick had been given something to help him along. Something along the lines of a better engine that had a few extra horses, or the car had a little bit more downforce, or he had special tyres, or just something to give him that little bit of an advantage. But unless someone comes out and says that's actually true, or there's a whistleblower, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. However though, there is the fact that remains that Mick needed a season and a bit to get up to speed in the cars. The problem is, this season's Formula 1 cars and last season's Formula 1 cars are not the same. So while he might have been up to speed in last year's car in the next few races, he's got to start again and now get used to a car that, in the hands of his teammate, has been scoring points. However, on 2 occasions this season, the lack of points haven't really been his fault. At Bahrain, he was tipped around by Ocon on lap 1, and that ruined his chances of his first points. Then at Saudi Arabia, a track at which the drivers raised safety concerns about, he dropped it on a curb that other drivers including Alonso got a wobble on, and he stacked it into a wall, resulting in a 6-figure repair bill that would only serve to annoy Haas a bit as they try to get the most out of the car they have, which is, let's be honest, much better compared to the one they had last year. Then at Monaco, he dropped it on a wet patch and split the car in half for the second time this season. And again, it happens. It can happen to anybody. I remember watching the 1996 race and seeing his dad slide off into a wall at Lower Mirabeau on the first lap. That sort of thing can happen to anyone. The problem is now, though, that the cost is even higher. Last season, it was a case of, don't worry about wrecking the car, it's fine, we'll just repair it, we're not even bothering to upgrade the car over the course of this season. But now, it's a case of, okay, this repair is going to cost us a lot of money, but it's also going to cost us points that might give us more money come the end of the season. Repairs come out of the cost cap, and the more they put into making sure the car is put back together after a smash means less money is available to develop the car to make sure it keeps on ending up in the points. Currently, Mick's best result of the season is 11th at Bahrain, which might have been a better result if not for the contact with Ocon, but his best result since has been 14th in Australia, with his best qualifying being 10th in Spain, but he still slipped back to 14th in that race. And it doesn't help that Mick has got several things in the background working against him. The first is that he's no longer got Mazepin as his teammate, the person who was the punching bag for all online criticism last season and was by far the worst driver on the grid. And because Mick was in by far the worst car on the grid, Mazepin was the only comparison to draw. Mazepin is now gone, and he's been replaced by Kevin Magnussen, who joined the team with only a few days' notice, and then got in the car, did 2 days of testing, and immediately scored a points finish. With Haas now able to score points, Magnussen has suddenly become Mick's yardstick, and not the Russian paid driver. The car was absolute trash last year, but, Mick was still faster than Mazepin. And then all you get online is, lol, Mazepin bad. And Kevin doing well brings pressure to succeed. Magnussen has been scoring points. Mick has not. He's got to find the limit of the car, and on 2 very large occasions this season, he's gone over it, and it's been costly. With Formula 1 being such a cutthroat industry, it's get on the level with a very steep learning curve, it's almost a cliff face, or get out. But he has one thing helping him on that front that will no doubt buy him some time, but it's also going to hinder him. And that is, of course, his name. He's the son of Michael Schumacher, and a lot of fans are desperate to see him in a Ferrari because of that nostalgia factor. Thanks to his name, there's no real reason for him to be looking over his shoulder, and being a Ferrari junior and Ferrari working with Haas, there's going to be some sort of a guarantee for a seat there. But with Felipe Drugovich currently leading Formula 2 and Brazil desperate for a new F1 hero, it could lead to a sticky situation come the end of the season. Sure, the name is a nostalgia generator, and a lot of people are happy the name is back, and with Michael in his current state, it's a bit of a nice thing to have. But as it currently stands, he's looking like he'll be more like his uncle than his dad. And that's not a bad thing. And like I said earlier, there's going to be people writing in the comments, but he won Formula 2. But the thing is, so did Jolyon Palmer. So did Stoffel Vandoorne. So did Nico Hulkenberg. So did Pastor Maldonado. And Latifi was second in 2019. And yes, I know there's a lot of people that are fans of that whole Schumacher fairy tale of he'll come into Formula 1, he'll get in a Ferrari and emulate his dad. But my question for those fairy tale believers is, if he really is that good, then surely he should have won Formula 3 and Formula 2 first time out. Winning Formula 2 first time out in the same way that Charles Leclerc did, Nico Rosberg did, Lewis Hamilton did, or even George Russell. And that season he won in Formula 2, he won based off consistency than raw pace. All of those third places added up in the end, which then gets you thinking maybe he is more of a Ralph than a Michael. But like I say, he's not a terrible driver at all. He's not a Rossett, he's not an Inouye, he's not a Latifi or a Mazepin, he's Mick. That's all we should ever see him as. There is still a long way to go in the season, and if Mick starts getting consistent top 10s from, say, Silverstone onwards, then okay, maybe he's onto something and maybe he's finally found his feet in Formula 1, especially now he's got Magnussen to learn from instead of treating every race as a test session like last year. But at the same time, maybe we should tone down some of that expectation of seeing him in a red car as soon as Sainz's contract is up. But another question to ask you here, just to humour the whole he's only in Formula 1 because of his name, section of the internet, take all of his results. Get every single one of his results, and then just change Mick Schumacher to Devin Browner, or some other German name. Do his results still look as impressive to you? So then, a very difficult one to write up here. Do you agree with some of the criticism that's been thrown at Mick Schumacher lately, or do you think he just needs more time? And if you think he needs more time, then where do you draw the line on that kind of thing? Leave any opinions down in the comment leaving section underneath this video and get a discussion going. It is, after all, why I do these kinds of videos. And while you're scrolling down, make sure you've liked the video so the algorithm can do its thing. And if you're not subscribed, get subscribed and also get the bell on so you'll always be notified of a future video. Massive thanks to the kind folk at Patreon that continue to support this channel. If you want to help support the image buying fund, you can help out by heading to the link in the description underneath this video, where there's also links to my Discord and also to my socials. So until next time, I've been AdmiralLaWind, have a cracking day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Goodbye.